Thomas the Tank Engine puffed along his branch line with his two coaches, Annie and Clarabelle. He was sharp on his wheels, but could also be a bit cheeky at times. Sometimes this cheekiness would always get him into trouble, but he always felt remorse and tried his best to better himself. Those were the early years, though. As time went on, Thomas became older, more mature, more confident in himself and his work. Decades had gone by and the island changed dramatically. There were more people and more diesels, but somehow it still kept its vintage charm. One morning, Gordon was at Knapford waiting for his passengers to finish boarding his coaches. Thomas puffed up in his usual manner and greeted him. "Good morning, Gordon. Beautiful day, huh?" "Indeed it is, Thomas, though I'm worried." "Worried? About what?" "Those high-speed intercity diesels I've been seeing lately. They come onto this island and return in record time, back and forth all day. In the meantime, I'm only capable of 2 trips from Sodor to the mainland. The age of progress is what they're calling it. We might actually be no longer useful." "Oh, I wouldn't worry, Gordon. Because this island is renowned for its steam heritage, we will always have a purpose. And those intercity diesels, they just bring more and more people who want to come see us. We will be forever useful." Gordon smiled a bit after what Thomas had said. His guard blew his whistle, and Gordon peeped and left the station. "Have a good day, Thomas," Gordon called. "Same to you, Gordon." And Thomas quickly shunted the coaches for the next train. As he pulled the coaches out of the siding, he noticed a smartly dressed man out of the corner of his eye. Excuse me, sir. This siding is for railroad staff only. I'm afraid I'm gonna have to ask you to leave and remain at the station's platform. It's for your own safety," said Thomas. "Oh, I'm sorry there, Thomas. Just admiring the craftsmanship of these coaches." Thomas was confused. The man acted like he knew Thomas, and he knew him for a long time. "Have we met before?" said Thomas. "I don't recognize your face." "Oh, I don't expect you to, but I've known you quite well, Thomas. I've been around for a while." Thomas was a little confused, but the man continued rambling. "I remember when you first came here, all young and green like any other rookie." Thomas eyed the man up and down. He could have been no more than 30 years old. When he first came to Sodor, it was already 60 years ago from now. How could this man be around when I first came here, he thought. "Okay, well, it was nice meeting you," said Thomas awkwardly, "but I really must ask you to leave for your own safety." "Oh, I'll be on my way. I actually just want to give you a message. Actually, it's more of a question, really. Do you remember the lorries? Because if you do, they certainly remember you, and you should talk with number 2, said the man mysteriously. "Okay, thank you," said Thomas, confused and inquisitively. "Talk to lorry number 2? I haven't seen any of those guys in 30 years. Thomas pushed the coaches to the platform, then made his way back to the sheds. He kept thinking about what the strange man had said. Maybe Edward will know, he thought, and puffed away to Edward's station. As Thomas puffed up to the platform at Edward's station, he saw Edward resting comfortably in the warm sun on a siding. "Peep, peep," Thomas whistled, and Edward opened his eyes. "Ah, hello, Thomas. How was your morning?" Edward asked. "Oh, it was interesting," he stated. "Just out of curiosity, Edward, do you know where any of the lorries have gone?" Edward was a bit confused, but he spoke up. "The lorries? The horrid lorries? Can't say I've seen them around, not since they wrecked themselves 30 years ago. But last I heard, 2 were scrapped. The other one, not sure of. He's the only one left, unfortunately. Why do you ask?" Thomas then explained about the strange man in the yards. Edward was really confused then. "No idea, old boy. but maybe talking to the lorry would give you some answers. Thomas could only agree. You might want to try the flour mill. Even though it's falling on hard times right now, that's the last I heard where that lorry worked, said Edward. As Thomas traveled down the line to the flour mill, he couldn't shake the suspicious feeling of being watched. He looked over to the left of him into the grassy open fields, and he looked over the right of him in the dense tree line. Every now and then he swore there was a mysterious figure lurking within it. Thomas then arrived at the old flour mill. The flour mill had fallen on hard times, as imported goods were more common on Sodor than island-made produce. "Hey, I remember you," said a voice. Thomas turned to the lot next to the mill and found a lorry. It was one of the old lorries. The lorry was in bad shape. His face smudged and dirty, and his paint scratched up with smoke billowing from his exhaust. "Oh, hello," said Thomas. The lorry looked up. "There's a face I haven't seen for a long time. Thomas, was it?" Yes, it is Thomas. I was actually hoping we'd cross paths again, because I wanted to apologize." "Apologize for what?" "For all those things I said years ago. Turns out that you're a lot more useful than us, even these days. My brothers were scrapped not too long after our accidents." I'm so sorry," said Thomas. About your brothers," Thomas said. "It's all right now," said the lorry in a wheezy tone. "It was years ago. I think I could finally move on from it. Turns out they could just build more of us rather than save one by repairing it. Unfortunately, that's how it is for us road vehicles." "What do you mean?" asked Thomas. "You see, Thomas, I'm not really here right now, but I've been cursed. But now that I've finally completed my task, I could move on. I'm forever grateful. You engines have it lucky. Steam heritage has always been a proud thing of British land. People care more about steam power than they do about internal combustion engines, like me. Road vehicles can be repaired easy, but because of the state of me and my brothers, they'd rather just order more." Thomas looked down at his buffers. He felt terrible. He didn't know what to say. But then he thought of telling the Fat Controller if the lorry could get fixed up and repainted. Suddenly he smiled and said excitedly, "Hey, I know! Why don't I tell the Fat Controller that you could use some repairs? It's the least I could do." Thomas looked next to him. "Does that sound good?" The lorry was not what Thomas was just looking at a minute ago. Instead, it was a rusted, vacant cab. No wheels, no bed, just a faceless cab, dilapidated and empty. Oh, I could have sworn he was. Am I losing it?" said Thomas sadly, and he puffed away. Thomas finished the remainder of his tasks, then went to the docks. The docks were where the lorries first arrived. He looked down at his buffer sadly. Cranky the Crane noticed. "What's the matter, Thomas?" "Nothing," he muttered. "Well, don't put a damper on a day like today. Look at that sunset," Cranky said, smiling. Thomas looked out towards the end of the line. He saw the buffers overlooking the water, and the vast horizon of the sun disappearing behind it. At the front of the buffers, in the center of the tracks, stood the silhouette of the smartly dressed man he encountered earlier. As the sun faded, so did the man, and he vanished into the air. "Who was that man?" questioned Thomas. The next day, Thomas had asked his driver what happened to the 3 lorries that they encountered years ago. His driver ventured back into the sheds, and out he came with an old newspaper. His driver showed him the newspaper article. The second lorry, which broke down. His driver had suffered a heart attack at the wheel, causing the lorry to lose control and crash. The lorry was in bad shape and scrapped shortly after. The driver had passed away in the accident. Thomas read the newspaper. He saw a picture of the driver. It was the man in the suit he encountered. Thomas didn't know what to think. Instead, he just backed into his sheds, and the shed's doors closed, and the beginning of the night came.